Okay, so the CD is Don't Mess with the Holophonics. Just don't do it. If you were thinking of messing with the Holophonics, don't. This CD was released in July of 2015. It's got 16 original tracks, 2 of which, the theme song for Eating Tacos and Heaven Sent and Hell Bent, were originally on the B-side. Is that still a thing release? But they've been remastered for this release. There's also a bonus track or 2, but they take a little work to get to. Now, the Holophonics have been incredibly prolific during the past 3 years, making Don't Mess with the Holophonics, I think, their 11th release. I don't think there's any current ska band who even comes close to that output. Not even the Selector, who've put out 3 albums in the last 4 years. Now, the Holophonics, they've put out a lot of covers, holiday covers, and even full album covers in their discography, and have worked their online distribution so that they're striking while the iron is hot. Case in point, my interest in both Blurred Lines and by extension a Blurred Lies cover was limited to only a few months when that song was inescapable on the radio. But let's get one thing straight here. The Holophonics are not a cover band. They produced 3 releases of 100% original material in about 3 years. I don't know how many other bands who claim to have done the same. I'm a huge fan of their work and consider Third Wave Undead to be a modern ska classic. So let's talk about Don't Mess with Holophonics. The short version is that I really like this CD. Ska CDs like this don't come along often enough, and this CD captures all that good, fun, and energy of ska and wraps it up in an interesting and new package. The beats are infectious, they make me want to dance. It's just really good and definitely worth picking up. So that's the short. I really liked it, and I would definitely recommend it. So short version aside, I want to take a few more minutes unpacking and analyzing what we have here in greater detail. One of the things I really like is how one track often dovetails into the next without missing a pause or a beat. And this really gives the CD a nice cohesiveness. It's obvious that in addition to wanting to release great tracks, they wanted to release a great CD as well. Taken as individual tracks, it's all very nice and tight, but taken as a whole CD though, it's just an unrelenting sonic force that refuses to let up or pause for even a second. It's so effective that I would say anyone who buys it simply must listen to it start to finish at least several times for the full effect. Even shuffling through the tracks seems to disrupt a very intentional order. So there's a lot that went into just making this a total CD. The production and musicianship is all very tight. Everything just sounds great, sounds amazing. The core concept of Don't Mess with the Holophonics seems steeped in the Don't Mess with Texas attitude. Everything from the cover art to the bonus track seems to impart a sort of Texas identity. I mean, the first track, line 1 is literally, "We're from Texas." The whole thing seems a product of a specific time and place, proudly proclaiming, that's right, we're a Texas ska band and it's 2015. And it makes me wish I could be a part of that scene for a while. Now, a number of ska bands have a certain inseparable relationship with the specific time and place. The music of the Specials was the product of British politics and policy of that era. The Toasters were stricken with New York fever. And it's impossible not to listen to Less Than Jake and think about Florida. So while this gimmick is nothing new, I think it works. And if this is what Texas ska is all about, I think I'd like to hear more. A lot more. Now, for me, the most difficult part of this review is in comparing Don't Mess with the Holophonics with Third Wave Undead. I had high praise for Third Wave Undead back when it released, and I stand by what I said. I'll probably continue to debate as to which one I like better, but I'd say they're pretty equal at this point. I will say that I like the theme of Third Wave Undead a little better. Come stare in horror at the shambling corpse of Third Wave ska. It seems a little more intricate than We're From Texas, Don't Mess With Us. Still though, Third Wave Undead was a pretty dark release. While Don't Mess With the Holophonics is a lot brighter, and it's got a bigger horn sound, it's just happier, more of a party release. So if Third Wave Undead is to celebrate the bullet, then Don't Mess With the Holophonics is to street feeling. Still, I appreciate that there's a singular vision and theme that just permeates this entire release and solidifies what this CD is about. Now, the tracks themselves are some of the best the Holophonics have put out to date. Some of the track titles alone are worth dissecting for some hidden meaning. You're Not the Specials, for instance. Is that simultaneously referencing the legendary two-tone band and the Lego Movie in the same instance? And the fact that Evergreen Dub immediately follows Phil from Tacoma, there's no way that's a coincidence. That had to have been intentional. There's just so many tracks on here that I just love. The Science of Selling Yourself Short is my favorite Less Than Jake track. I mean, literally, when I got my bass, that was the first bass line I learned. And so, the Holophonics take them to task in The Science of Selling Yourself Out. Now, I seriously had to go and check out the trombone-free version of She's Gonna Break Soon to confirm that the MTV edit had truly happened. And holy shit, it's real. Wow. And it sounds so much worse than how that song was meant to be. So yeah, Science of Selling Yourself Out, great takedown of one of my personal favorite bands. Bluetooth Douchebag stands out as perhaps one of the weirdest tracks they've ever released. It's as though Eric is channeling a sort of inner Phil Anselmo, which I guess would make sense given that Pantera was also a Texas band. The bass is suitably heavy, and the outro to the song sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. U2 is the worst band in the world. I'm glad I'm not alone in not liking U2. Seriously, the rest of my family are all huge U2 fans. I've always been the odd one out. I can remember that U2 album interrupting my playlist and thinking, what the fuck? Eric from the Uptones jokingly called it playlist rape, and I don't think Apple or U2 have any right to insinuate themselves into my playlist. So a very nice, very sarcastic takedown of a band that's just not. I like the tip of the hat to comics and RPGs that is presented in the tracks Comic Shop Girl and Greg is a Dungeon Master. It was nice to see Heaven Sent and Hell Bent receive the proper attention it deserves in the transition over from B-side. It was a good track then. It's a great track now. It stands out as one of the best tracks on the CD. Still though, for me, there are two real standout tracks that could very well be the best tracks these guys have recorded to date. My two favorites were Golden Boy and the Rock, Frack Off. Frack Off is definitely a song with a story and agenda. It tells the tale of the people's will and vote being overturned by politicians and profiteers. Now, I had to educate myself a bit on the issue and found out that lawsuits were filed. It's pretty messed up stuff, the kind of stuff that just makes you angry, and this song does a great job channeling that anger into something incredibly catchy and highly danceable. Musically, I'd say Frack Off is the best on the CD. The multiple vocalists harmonize exceptionally well, and the horn just brings everything to that boiling place. And to me, I can see a lot of similarities between this track and Stand Up by Goldfinger. Golden Boy and the Rock is a deep and interesting track. It has a great up-tempo party kind of vibe, but probably the darkest lyrical content of any of the songs on the CD. There's a lot of talk about drowning sorrows. It looks at the binge drinking of college through a sort of funhouse mirror. What happens when college is over and the binge drinking remains? When suddenly you're the old guy at the party, and the reality comes crashing down that, holy shit, being working class is a fucking life sentence. And And there's a truly sobering moment when the instrumentals drop out to give way to that chorus of, "You're gonna drink, drink, drink yourself to death." Don't mess with Holophonics. It's just a fantastic album with some really terrific standout tracks. The whole album has a nice cohesive tone and consistency that adds depth to a start-to-finish listen. I certainly enjoyed this one and would highly recommend it. For me, it's the equal of Third Wave Undead, which I consider very high praise. I'm probably going to continue to debate whether I like Third Wave Undead better or Don't Mess with Holophonics. Again, they're probably on equal footing for me. So suffice to say, this new addition to their catalog is something special and something that deserves to be heard. And I hope we get another sheet music PDF release to accompany this one.
Playing this music makes me feel alright, but I can't help but wonder if I'm wasting my time, yeah. Cause this is just another stupid ska song about never growing up, right? Cause we would rather get drunk. Right now it's the best I can afford to get drunk, pounding shitty beers at parties. Wake up and you don't know where you've been these last few years. Cause we're too old for this college town, but you're never too old to try and drown your sorrows away. So raise your glass to another year, cause we'll still be here just drinking beer tomorrow. Away. You're gonna drink, drink, drink yourself to death. 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 Never too old to try and drown. You're gonna drink, drink, drink yourself to death. You're gonna drink, drink, drink yourself to death. We'll be here just drinking beer. You're gonna drink, drink, drink yourself to death.
Okay, so I gotta ask, what was the deal with that bonus track? There was like 7 minutes of silence. I was wondering if it was a throwback to Masquerade's Volume 1 with Knockin' on Heaven's Door. Like, more silence was recorded than their longest track. Then more silence than the Texas State song. Now, given that I was listening on CD, I only saw 16 tracks listed, so I figured with all that silence, there just was no track 17. It was just dead audio to run out the last of the CD. So I was just sitting in my car, dead silence, and all of a sudden, my speakers came to life, not once, but twice. It was very unexpected, very fun way to do a bonus track.